Hey everybody, welcome to or back to my channel, My Kind of Stuff, and today I have a special readathon announcement. Alright, so Crystal from Books Forever After, I will make sure I link her channel down below, is hosting her 25 days of Ever After Romantasy readathon. It is running December 1st through the 25th. It is fantasy romance based. You don't only have to read fantasy romance, but that's kind of the spirit of the whole thing. It is a bingo board based readathon, and you can kind of set the board up however you want. So, the way this kind of works is there are 3 different cards of prompts. The first card, you're meant to pick 3 of your prompts based off of this card alone, and then the rest you can kind of mix and match as you please. But the ones that you need to pick a set of 3 from are a Books Forever After favorite. And her favorite books are Guild by Raven Kennedy, Guardian of the Drowned Empire by Frankie Diane Malice, A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, A Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer Armentrout, Spark of the Everflame by Peng Cole, Blood and Steel by Helen Shorer, Fate of Wrath and Flame by K.A. Tucker, and A Ship of Bones and Teeth by Karina Halley. I made sure to check with Crystal. She did say that, like, Guild, for example, if you already read Guild, you can just continue on with the series, like wherever you are in it. You don't have to read that specific book, but those are her favorite series, so preferably a book in that series. The other prompts you can pick from are a book with Ever or After in the title, a Beauty and the Beast retelling, a book that is Death in the Maiden, a book with a school or academy setting, a dark or gothic book, or a fan fiction. And then the other prompts that you can mix and match from as you please are a slow burn, a reincarnation or fated mates, a forbidden love, forced proximity, villain or morally gray hero, enemies to lovers, a book with dragons, vampires and or witches, monsters or aliens, a book with red and or green on the cover, a book with snow or ice on the cover or in the title, a sequel, read a book that completes a series, catch up on a series, DNF a series, a standalone, or an indie published book. So as you can see, all these prompts are pretty easy, pretty broad. You can double up on prompts if you need to. Crystal's also doing a giveaway. I will make sure I link the Discord down below as well. That's where you will be submitting your bingo boards when you have finished them. She just asks that when you submit them, you put the book, but also what prompt it goes towards, because she's kind of going to use it as recommendations for herself. Now, I just kind of wanted to give you guys a couple recommendations, a few of my favorite fantasy romance books or series. The first series is the Shatter Me series by Tahara Mafi. This one we follow Juliet, whose touch is fatal, but the reestablishment has plans for her. They plan to use her as a weapon. They keep her locked up and imprisoned, and she's finally discovering like her strength and getting the ability to fight back because of her love interest in this book. And this whole series, it is YA, it's dystopian. It's just very interesting getting in Juliet's mind because she's been so sheltered. She doesn't really talk at the beginning. It was just gorgeous. I love Tahira Mafi's writing style. You'll see a lot of times, like throughout the book, like things scratched out. That is meant to be that way. It's kind of like Juliet, our main character, is like the voices in her head and the things she's like, the dark thoughts she's thinking. So it's really interesting. It's very uniquely done, and I just had a lot of fun with this entire series. The next series I want to recommend is the Caraval series by Stephanie Garber. Her writing is so lyrical and flowery, and I absolutely love it because it sucks you into the world. This is another YA romance. Um, which is weird because it's normally not my thing, but like I absolutely love this series. We follow Scarlett and her sister Tella in this one, and their father is a really cruel man. He arranges a marriage for Scarlett, but all she wants is a chance to go to Caraval, and she gets the opportunity when this mysterious sailor comes to town and helps her and her sister escape. They end up meeting Legend, who runs Caraval, and there's a whole like games element going on to it, which I absolutely love in books. So this whole series is great. I had a lot of fun with it. And also the spin-off series of it as well. I haven't read all of it yet, but I am in the process of making my way through it slowly. So yeah, another good recommendation. The next book I want to recommend is Anastasia by Sophie Lark. As you can see, I've tabbed the crap out of this book. I absolutely loved it. Obviously, everyone knows the story of Anastasia, but this one is a little bit different. It involves some magic. She is unfortunately, kind of an unneeded daughter. She's the fourth born daughter to the emperor. And she's also lacking the royal magic that the rest of her family has. And slowly, as she gets older, she starts developing this kind of weird, very dark magic that is similar to Rasputin's. And she also becomes friends with Damien, our love interest in this book, who is a rebel who is basically being raised as a ward by her family. Um, and his magic kind of like boosts her magic. So seeing them entangle and him help her bring her magic to life is really cute. And I just had so much fun with this one. Of course, it's Sophie Lark, so it does get pretty spicy, but definitely way further into the book. This is a full on slow burn. Um, and it's also got beautiful illustrations throughout. Um, Even on the Kindle version, because I believe this is on KU as well. Um, but like the whole book just has beautiful illustrations as you go. So I know it's a little chunky, but I highly, highly recommend this one. The next book I want to recommend is The Serpents and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. Here we follow Aurea, and she is the human daughter of the Nightborn vampire king. And she wants to be something more than just prey to all of the vampires in this world. So she enters the Kajari, which is a legendary tournament that's held. And if you win, you get to be blessed by the goddess of death herself. Of course, for her, winning is not going to come easy, being a human in this vampire world with all vampire participants. And she forms an unlikely alliance with our male main character, and it's a very reluctant alliance because he's definitely like someone who should be out to get her. And I just loved the forced proximity in this one, the reluctant allies, and the plot twist at the end of this was just fantastic. I recently just read book 2 and absolutely loved that one as well. So if you've already read this one but haven't read book 2 yet, maybe that's your continuous series book. The next book I want to recommend is The Veiled Kingdom by Holly Renee. In here, we are following Naira, who is basically escaping her kingdom. Her father is a very cruel king, and she doesn't really want anything to do with him. So she sneaks away, ends up joining the rebellion, and meeting Dacre, who is our very, very dirty talking shadow daddy. um, this one is definitely more spice than plot, but it was such a fun time, such a quick read too. It looks a lot bigger than it is. Like the font in here is huge. Now, Naira also in this book doesn't really have magic, or at least she thinks she doesn't when the rest of her family does. But of course, Dacre teaches her how to use and control her magic, and is kind of the whole reason her magic gets drawn out of her, which it seems to be a theme for me in a lot of these books. But I just had a ton of fun with this one. The ending, like my jaw dropped. The ending on this, holy cow! I think I'm going to be reading book 2, The Hunted Heir, I believe it's called. Is part of my bingo board for this one to continue this series. All right, the last book I want to talk about is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. This one looks a little different than the other covers. This is my probably smut edition, but this is a Shield Maiden Norse inspired fantasy romance. We follow Feyre, and she is in a very unhappy marriage. Her husband is just this big brute, and he's very mean to her, makes her do all kinds of hard labor. He ends up betraying her to their region's Jarl, and she ends up getting put up to a fight to the death against his son. Unfortunately, that means she is forced to reveal her deepest, darkest secret, and that is that she is a shield maiden, and she is able to repel attacks. Um, it's foretold in this world that a shield maiden would unite the fractured nation, so the Jarl takes her captive, ends up marrying her, but of course she falls in love with his son. um, and it was just so much fun, so cute, so much pining between them. Very spicy as well when they finally do come together. And I just really enjoyed this one. So, yeah, another one I highly recommend. So, again, this readathon is going to be running from December 1st through December 25th. I will leave all of the info down below, as well as tagging Crystal. So make sure you go to her channel to check out all of the details, because she will have a more thorough explanation on things, and also about all the prizes and the giveaways that you can enter for this as well. Remember to join the Discord, because that's where you can get your bingo graphics and all of the prompts and things like that as well. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.